Hello. I came to talk. I've been thinking lately about you and me, about what's gonna happen to us in the end. We're going to kill each other, aren't we? Perhaps you'll kill me. Perhaps I'll kill you. Perhaps sooner, perhaps later. I just wanted to know that I'd made a genuine attempt to talk things over and avert that outcome. Just once.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I am That One Punk. Good to see you again. And today is the first official episode of Looking for More. Apologize if I sound, I'm a little sick. I'm super congested, so if I sound weird, my bad, I guess. In case you haven't seen the introduction of this video, this series will go through the works of Alan Moore as well as all the adaptations of his work to see whether he is correct in hating them or not. And in our first episode, as you probably read from the title, we are checking out The Killing Joke. This is probably one of the most famous Batman stories ever, so I thought it was fitting to start with this, as it is also probably Alan Moore's most well-known story other than Watchmen. I thought for a while on how I wanted to format this, whether I do it like a post-analysis or like a movie review, but I think the best way to go about it is I'm going to read the source material first and come back to you directly after I read it and give you my thoughts, my opinions, and then after that I'll watch the adaptation, come back and give you my thoughts and opinions on that as a solo project, and then compare the two and see where the differences lie and which one is better than the other. And in this case, I got my money on this guy. So I am going to read this through, take some notes, and come back to you in about an hour. Or I guess for you it'd be like a couple seconds. Time's weird, huh? Alrighty, I have just reread The Killing Joke, and I forgot how much I love this book. It's the quintessential Batman and Joker book. I have not read it in a good while. I think the last time I read it was when I was like 19. I forgot how good everything about it is. The artwork is amazing. I love... Who did the art on this? Brian Boland does an amazing job with everything he's given here. I'm sure I'll flash some panels on the screen here, but just all the emotion he captures in these faces and the terror he puts into people like Barbara and Jim Gordon, the pure lunacy he puts on the Joker. It's incredible, the expressions he's able to get out of this. And Alan Moore's writing, I don't think I need to tell anyone, it's amazing. Alan Moore is one of the greatest writers of all time, and this book is no different. It has so many good quotes. He's the person that pioneered the idea of the Joker having multiple origin stories and that nothing is really set in stone. He's just a guy. I love that it goes deeper into the Batman and Joker's dynamic, because it's something that, of course, is explored a lot now. But at the time, it didn't feel like that. It felt like it was just a hero and a villain. But this shows that they're deeply intertwined with each other in a way that most people interpret as a one-sided homosexual relationship. If you read Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth, you get that a lot more overtly with the way the Joker acts around Batman. But here you can sort of see it of how obsessive these two are of each other and how much they know that they are each other's beginnings and they're going to be each other's ends. And it's just a great way to tell that kind of story. And of course, when you talk about this book, you talk about the ending. It's an ambiguous ending. If you hadn't read this book before, the ending is basically Batman trying to get through the Joker, saying, I can help you, I can rehabilitate you, we can find out what's wrong with you. And the Joker's saying, no, it's I'm too far gone for that. And then he tells Batman a joke. I guess I can read the joke here, because it's funny. I'm going to try and do a Joker voice. I can't guarantee it'll be good, but we'll do my best. And I'm sick, so it's not going to help. See, there were these two guys in a lunatic asylum, and one night they decide they don't like living in the asylum anymore. They decide they're going to escape. So they get up onto the roof, and there, just across this narrow gap, they see the rooftops of the town stretching away in the moonlight, stretching away to freedom. Now the first guy, he jumps right across with no problem, but his friend daren't make the leap, you see. You see, he's afraid of falling. So then the first guy has an idea. He says, "Hey, I have my flashlight with me. I'll shine it across the gap between the buildings. You can walk along the beam and join me." But the second guy, he shakes his head. He says, "What do you think I am, crazy? You turn it off when I was halfway across." That was my Joker impression. I hope it was cringe enough for you. But that joke, it's, not only is it a joke the Joker would say, but it's very, it feels very telling of their relationship and how they are just two psychos, but one is just a little bit crazier than the other. I don't know. That's what I get. After he tells the joke, Batman begins laughing with the Joker, and he puts his hands on Joker's shoulders, and we see this beam of light fade away from the reflection of the puddle. And many people have interpreted that as being related to the joke, and that Batman strangles the Joker, breaks his neck, or whatever. And unfortunately, we've kind of cemented that didn't happen because they decided to make this canon. I don't know why they made this canon. This should be a standalone story. The only good thing we got out of this being canon was Oracle. But as a one-off comic, I think Batman does finally kill the Joker here. As far as discourse with this book, I see a lot of people say it doesn't hold up that well, and that its messages aren't well handled, I guess, and that the implied sexual assault of Barbara Gordon was unnecessary. And well, I can see where people are coming from, of course. Sexual assault is a very difficult thing to deal with in fiction. Just go look at my Urban Spook video to see how you do it wrong. I don't think they do it wrong here. Because for one, it's barely implied that the Joker did any sort of sexual assaulting to Barbara. He got her naked and took pictures of her. That's all we know. It's never said that she was roped or sexually assaulted. She doesn't talk about it that way. It's just pictures of her, and they don't really give me, at least, that I can see, any clues that she was defiled in that way. And besides, the Joker doesn't seem like that kind of criminal. He's, especially in this interpretation, the Joker is very much a I want to drive a person to madness kind of thing, and he wouldn't do something without a point. And doing that to Barbara would serve no real purpose because no one would be there to see it, and Barbara's not the main target, so it makes sense for him not to sexually assault her. He used her as a pawn to drive Jim Gordon mad. As for not holding up well, I think it does. I think this is a groundbreaking story. I mean, the story has inspired so much, not only Batman media, but superhero media over the years. And reading it now in 2024, it's still one of the greatest Batman stories I've ever read. Even for it being really short, it's like a 64-page comic, I think. So it's not long, and it does so much more than a lot of other Batman comics have done. As for what Alan Moore thinks about this little classic, I have a quote here. I'll put the article in the description, but it comes originally from a site called Mania.com, in which he says, and I quote, "I've never really liked my story in The Killing Joke. I think it put far too much melodramatic weight upon a character that was never designed to carry it. It was too nasty, it was too physically violent. There were some good things about it, but in terms of my writing, it's not one of my favorite pieces. If, as I said, God forbid, I was ever writing a character like Batman again, I'd probably be setting it squarely in the kind of smiley uncle period where Dick Sprang was drawing it, where you had Ace the Bat Hound and Batmite and the Zebra Batman when it was sillier. Because then it was brimming with imagination and playful ideas. I don't think that the world needs that many brooding psychopathic Avengers." So as you can tell, he doesn't really like the Killing Joke anymore. And again, I can see why. There are certain themes in it that obviously won't sit well with some people. But as for overly violent, I don't see it. I think it's as violent as a Batman comic should be, especially one for adults. I've seen way edgier Batman comics that are not good. Looking at you, Batman who laughs, you're not good. And it's something I think people, even more himself, might miss the point of, is that the Joker's plan in this book is to prove a point, to prove that no matter how sane you are, no matter how perfect of a person you think you are, you're only one bad day away from becoming him. And at the end of the book, he's proven wrong. He does everything he can to drive Jim Gordon mad. And at the end, Jim Gordon says, I want Joker taken in, and I want it done by the book. He's the same person he was. He just carries that trauma now. And even Batman says, maybe it was just you. Maybe only you reacted to having this bad of a day. And he was wrong. The Joker was wrong. And you can see it in some of the final panels. He knows he's wrong. And he doesn't know what to do. Because if it wasn't just one bad day, then was he always like this? Was he really so far gone from the beginning? It's a book that raises a lot of questions, gives a lot of answers, and it's one that I thoroughly enjoy reading. Again, for such a tiny book, it is packed full of story and character and everything, and I love it. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give the Killing Joke comic, I think I'll give it a 9.5. It is very well done. It's a classic for a reason. It's the inspiration for so many other stories and comics like it for a reason. So that's it for the Killing Joke comic. Up next, we have the 2016 film adaptation of the same name. This was an animated film starring Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as Batman and the Joker. These are two voice actors that everyone has wanted to see act out this story ever since Batman the Animated Series started. So I guess let's see if it's as bad as I remember. And I've just finished watching the movie adaptation, Batman the Killing Joke, and I think it's worse than I remember. But I'll start off with the positives. Of course, the performances from Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy are amazing. Those two embody these characters so well. Kevin Conroy understands Batman's grittiness and need to help, and Mark Hamill understands the Joker's sadistic nature. It's crazy to hear them recite these lines that are so iconic, and they just do an overall good job. The whole cast does a good job, really, with what they're given, at least. I really liked Commissioner Gordon. I can't remember who plays him, but he had a very he did very well with what he was given, and bringing that character to life, especially this incarnation of that character. And I'll say I liked most of the animation. I feel the animation for the stuff that wasn't originally in the book was a lot better than the stuff that was in the book. I'll talk about that more in a minute, but the stuff that was animated, like the introduction, like the 45 minutes before the actual book starts, and the few extra scenes they added are animated super well. Any extra dialogue they added was okay. Some of it was a bit cringe, but you know.
You ruined everything!
Must be that time of the month.
Did a good job recreating the art style of the comic book. I don't think it translates that well to animation, especially the character design of Batman. The ears look a bit weird to me, but in terms of being faithful, they did a really good job. I think that's all I have to say that's positive. So let's get to the elephant in the room. Those first 30 to 40 minutes are fucking awful. I understand why they did it. So in case you haven't seen the film, it starts before the book starts. It starts with a small story of Barbara Gordon as Batgirl being stalked and harassed by a character named Paris Franz, whatever, and it turns into such a big mess that she eventually almost kills him, and it causes her to quit being Batgirl. And through this, we get one of the worst scenes Batman history of Batgirl and Batman having sex on a rooftop.
Oh, hey, Batman, Batgirl, good to see. What? Oh, God. Why? No, why?
This is such a... I don't know why, but Bruce Timm was a producer on this film, and he has such a strange fascination with shipping these two characters. I don't get it. He would always allude to it in some episodes of Batman the Animated Series. He alluded to it heavily in Batman Beyond and Mystery of the Batwoman. I don't know what he sees in that relationship. I don't get it. It's so weird. That's like your best friend's daughter. Why are you? And you're like so much older than her. I don't get it. It's weird. And his insistent need to shove it in everything he makes just drives me crazy. I can't fucking stand it. I understand that you wanted to make Batgirl and Barbara a bit more of a sympathetic character, right? And you want to have the audience sort of attached to her more. But with something like this, I feel you don't need to do that, because this is a book that every comic fan knows. Like, this is the comic book, right? So you don't need to explain who Barbara Gordon is, because these people know who Barbara Gordon is. And you don't need a 30-minute introduction telling us that she was Batgirl and now she's not Batgirl. Context clues are a thing. No, it's just so weird. Like, you didn't need to add all of that. Like, again, it's a short story, and you need to make it, like, feature film length. I get it, right? You got to add stuff to fill in that runtime. But you really don't. Like, this is such a cult classic book that you could have just done the original 64 pages, maybe added a couple things here and there, and people would have gone and seen it. Especially with Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as the lead roles, this is something people have wanted forever. So of course they're going to turn out and see it. You don't need to add all this extra shit and have Barbara have a gay best friend for some reason. You don't need that. It's just not needed. And then when it does actually get to the scenes from the book, I feel it falls flat also. Like I said, the animation when it comes to them translating the pages to the screen, I feel like it doesn't do enough. The Nostalgia Critic made this point when he reviewed this movie, and I totally agree with him. That panel of the birth of the Joker, when he's laughing maniacally, crazily, when you look at that panel, you see movement. You see someone so off the deep end that they can't control their body. In the movie, he just stands there. It's like they just copied the comic book and put it on the screen and added just a little bit of movement. It was more of a motion comic than a fucking movie. I don't get it. You have all this free reign to bring these stills to life, to really make them something great, and you just don't do it. And this one is probably more for me than anyone else, but the flashbacks I really liked in the book, because in the book, the flashbacks are black and white, and the only color you can see is red. And I really like that detail. It just brings a lot more attention to the Red Hood, and it's just a very nice way to break away the ideas here and, like, the transformation. And in the movie, instead of it being black and white and the only color you see is red, it's just sepia tone. So you can still see color, and it makes the Red Hood feel a lot less special. It makes everything feel a lot less special. I don't understand why they did it like that. I don't get it. And they even kind of fucked up the ending, because in the book it's ambiguous as to whether Batman kills Joker, right? And here they kind of just do it. Like in the book, you get the idea that he did because of the light going out in the puddle, but you don't know. Here they kind of tell you, because both him and Joker are laughing, and then Joker stops laughing, but Batman continues, so you think, oh, he just fucking strangled him right then and there. And they don't even do the light thing. Like, they don't connect the joke to what's happening here, and it boggles my mind. That was such an important part of the ending of the book. I don't know why you wouldn't bring it to the movie. This was written by Brian Azzarello, a pretty well-known comic book writer. I usually like the stuff he writes, but this is just no good. If the first 30 to 40 minutes weren't bad enough, the rest of the movie just does not do enough to warrant even being made. I'll give it credit. Some shots are done super well, like the shot of the Joker in that tourist outfit with just piercing white eyes. It looks really good, but it's not special, you know? It doesn't feel like a Killing Joke movie. It just feels like a motion comic, and I wanted more than that. Those are my thoughts. Let's see what Alan Moore thinks. Okay, we can't really see what Alan Moore thinks because he hasn't commented on this. He probably hasn't seen it, but judging how he normally doesn't like any adaptation of his work, I imagine he wouldn't like this at all. Considering he doesn't even like the book itself that he wrote, I imagine he would not enjoy this movie at all. And one thing I found while researching that I find very funny is someone brought up the point that Alan Moore got criticized for his use of Barbara Gordon in the book, and people said that they used her as just an object, as a plot point rather than a character. And a lot of people have argued that that's, you know, not only a misrepresentation, but a misunderstanding of her point in the story. And it's funny that in trying to fix that issue in the movie, Brian Azzarello and company just made it worse. Because instead of fleshing out her character in a way that makes sense to her character, they instead double down on women are objects and make them have sex. What were you trying to do? You cannot like the Killing Joke book, and that's fine. I totally understand if you don't like what is done to Barbara Gordon in that book. But it has a point, it has a purpose, and it's not just done to be shocking. It's there for a reason. Making her have sex with Batman does not make that reason any better. Yeah, I legit have a headache after watching that movie, so I'm done. I would give this movie out of 10 a solid 3.5, 3.5. It has its moments, but not enough for me to recommend over the book. It is not good. So, when it comes to the Killing Joke and its adaptation, I will say Alan Moore is correct to hate this one. When you don't like your own book in general, you're probably not going to like an adaptation of it, especially when it does things worse than you did. He is absolutely correct in not wanting anything to do with this one. And that's it for the first episode of Looking for More. I hope you enjoyed it. This is a really fun setup to do. I don't know. It's cool to give my off-the-cuff thoughts like this. It's very interesting. I like doing it. I think in the next episode, we'll be doing... I don't know. I'll probably do V for Vendetta or From Hell, because I've seen V for Vendetta. I haven't read it in a while. But I remember liking the movie, so it'd be a nice way to differentiate it from this one. And From Hell, I've gotten, I think, a third of the way through it, and I haven't seen the movie. So I don't know what to think of that. And it's considered one of Alan Moore's best works. So I do want to finish it and see how the movie holds up. It probably doesn't. But that's it for me. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed. I still don't know how to end videos. Big thank you. Big ups to my patrons right over here. Big shout out to Bunnet and Ghostly Caden for being on the tier that makes me shout out their names. You can see the link up there for my Patreon, as well as it will be down in the description. Chuck in a buck. You can support me. Do whatever. I don't care. And our Discord link will be down there if you want it, because, you know, it's fun to come and chat with the Discord. I really have a headache. This is really difficult. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Next video I put out will not be Looking for More. It'll either be a Patreon video or just one I feel like doing. But until then, I have been That One Punk. Peace.